Hey guys, it's Ty Customs Mox, and today I'm bringing you a new video. It's kind of something a little bit different today. Well, it is something a little bit different because today I'm doing a tutorial. And this tutorial, as you can tell by the title, is going to be on how to paint. So, painting is the basic, it's like the core of minifigure customization. If you're painting. Sorry, there's a plane going over my house. Probably can't hear that a lot. But all these figures here, Iron Fist, I don't know if you saw them, Snoke, Luke, these are all 100% hand painted, and some figures are not 100% hand painted, but usually when you're making a custom minifigure, you're going to need to paint something. And no one's done a tutorial on this before, which is very surprising since it's like the basic thing of customizing. So today I'm going to teach you how to paint. Now there are many different techniques for painting and many different paints and all that stuff. I'm going to go over the ones that I prefer and use, and maybe some other designs and tactics like that you could also use, but not things that I use. So what I use mainly for painting is a thumbtack right here. So you can probably go to like the dollar aisle at like Target. There's like a rubber band on it, but you can get like a whole bunch of thumbtacks. You only need one. Like you can get one tack and then just use it for every single thing. Sorry if my camera's moving a lot. I think I just bumped it, but yeah. So thumbtack can get you the finest design. That point right there, that's what you need, okay? And you can get like super sharp ones probably, but this one's kind of dull because these are just like an old box that my grandma found for me. Because I'm like, I need thumbtacks. And she's like, oh, sure, I got a whole box of them. So, yeah. You could also use a toothpick to paint. Now, if you're going to use a toothpick, lots of toothpicks are not that sharp. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to take your knife right here and you're going to sharpen it. You're probably going to need to use like a pocket knife. Okay, I'm not doing a very good job of this on camera because I just broke it. I'm just trying to keep it in the frame. But probably going to need to use a pocket knife. I don't think a kitchen knife would work. And this just broke again and my paint knocked over. But yeah, so if you're going to paint with a toothpick, I suggest you sharpen it regularly. You can also use a brush. And I do use fine brushes for some detail sometimes. Like this detail right here on Black Panther's leg here. Some of this was done with a brush. And those are the two main things I'm going to go over. The thumbtack and the brush. Because when you use the toothpick, it's basically the same as the thumbtack. So, except you have to sharpen it. So, yeah. I think that's all I needed to cover. So, without further ado, let's get into some basic things that you're going to need before you start your customization. So the materials you need are pretty simple. First, we're going to go over the brushes. I've got two different kinds of fine-tipped brushes right here. These ones are from, I know it's hard to see because of the background. Good, try get this to focus. But here we've got some from Artist's Loft, and then this one is from I believe it's Testors brushes. And then over here we've got this one that I like to use a lot for applying sealant and large coats of paint to minifigures, which is also a Testors brush. And what this one is mainly used for is just like, see this leg, actually this might be a better example, but this leg used to be like normal, like plastic, but then I just entirely covered it in matte black paint. So when you're doing just bump the camera again, like an entire covering paint job, you're going to use this. Or when you're applying sealant, which I'm going to get into later, but this is good for sealing paint pieces off. This one, I don't know, I kind of use this to just like brush off dust. Usually what you do is you go and wet it and then like brush a little bit of water off and then just like dust the piece. Like that. But this one I mainly use, there are 3 different sizes of these Artist Fluff ones, and I use these ones for mostly these 2, but I use them for sorry, there's some noise going on downstairs. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I use these for detail on here, like some of this was painted with a brush. So yeah, and then for thumbtacks, it's pretty simple. Just need a thumbtack, just one will do. And then for paint, I like to use a Craft Smart paint, because I just got this whole thing at like Michael's. That's I believe that's the only place that they sell it for, but it's like 80 cents or something at Michael's for like the normal paints, but it's like $2 for gloss and metallic. But Craft Smart is really good. It's water-based. Should use water-based. I've gone to some other brands though when I couldn't get some at Michael's, and Folk Art is good. I know a lot of people use Apple Barrel. I haven't found that at very many stores near me, and I've already got all this Craft Smart paint. Some paints over here say that they can like give you cancer, so just make sure you don't like get cancer from your paint. But yeah, so I mainly use matte paint, but for some details like on where is it? I just lost the piece. Here it is. When I did Black Panther's cowl, I know it's kind of hard to see. Probably go in more depth in this on my showcase, but some of this detail was done in gloss black to stand out from the matte black. And then there are also these premium ultra bright like metallic paints, and then there's like premium glitter paint. When I got these paints, I didn't really know the difference between glitter and metallic, so I just got the silver glitter paint, and it works fine. Metallic would probably be better, but it's pretty expensive, so it's glitter, I think. But for sealant, I like to use Modge Podge, and it's good, I guess. It can be a little bit too shiny sometimes, like if you put too much of it on, but usually I just put a thin coat of this on, and it will protect the piece from breaking or like paint being chipped off. So that's good. That's really, oh, one more thing. For when I'm painting pieces, I like to have some bricks just to like hold them in place. So here I've got this like little contraption just built out of these for when I'm painting heads, so I can just like hold them down here and add the paint so it's not like rolling around. I know some people prefer to paint like this, where it's facing like this, like a stand or something, but I just prefer doing it like flat on a flat surface, so it's really just your preference there. And then for arms, it's good to just like hook them or have them grab onto something, and then just you can like rotate them around as you're doing the paint. So that's good. You could also put them in a torso, but I think this is probably more effective. Legs. I had a piece, but I have no idea where it went. But it's like one of those like round pieces with like one stud. You know, you should know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's what I use for legs, and that's pretty much it for materials and supplies. So now I'm gonna get into the actual painting tips. So using the thumbtack is pretty simple. What you're gonna do is you're gonna hold it however you like, and then you're gonna take your paint right here. Actually, I'm gonna use the silver paint. You gotta shake it up first, and then twist the cap off, and take this off in here. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna dip your thumbtack in. For a thin line, you just want to dip it in a little bit. Can't really see how little I'm dipping in, but basically you just want to get this much paint on the end of your thumbtack, just a little bit there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to just, oh, sorry, I'm taking this out of focus here. Trying to grab this, just do a little line right here. Like that. Did you not see that? Probably didn't. Okay. Well, you're going to, for a thicker line, you're going to dip it in right here, and then get like this much in here. So I'm gonna do like this part now. So everyone's so loud. Yeah, like that pretty much. And then you're just gonna take a paper towel, which I forgot to list in the materials, and just wipe it off there. Oh my gosh, and my camera broke. Hold on. Technical difficulties, please. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My camera just fell off what I was using to hold. But I'm just gonna repeat the process and make this a little bit longer. I want it to be good. I'm getting this on camera. And yeah, that's basically what you're gonna do. And then say, gonna take a little bit longer down here. And then let's say you make it too long. Oh no, I messed up. What am I ever gonna do? Well, first of all, you're gonna wait for it to dry, and Crush Smart paint, and I think most acrylic paints, usually on this scale, only take a few seconds to dry. So you're just gonna wait for it to dry. I think you can hear my chair squeaking. But now that the paint is dry, what I'm going to do is take this brush right here, and this is basically just like painting over tutorial. And I'm going to take my black paint now and shake it up. And take it out here, dip my brush into it a little bit, and then just paint it over right here. Now you probably want to do this with a brush instead of a thumbtack, because it'll like blend with the background a little bit better and won't like stick out, because some paint can see it looks a little bit like 3D in there, so you don't want that. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna brush it over here, and you can see some kind of like streaks and bubbles. You want to eliminate those like this until it just looks flat, and you might want to dab it a little bit. So it's 2017 and you really shouldn't be dabbing, but yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So now I'm just going to wait for that to dry and repeat the process over again. Almost done. And yeah, so now I'm done. As you saw, I did a little bit of the painting in the time lapse. Actually ended up painting over this, and then I sanded the paint down a little bit with a nail file, which is not a sanding stick, by the way. It's actually called a nail file. But yeah, I actually ended up repainting the whole design off camera because the camera kept falling over and it wasn't in a very good position for painting, and I wanted to do my best work, so unfortunately that had to be done off camera. Still is a little bit stuff to touch up on, but this is pretty much what it is over here. Now I'm just going to give you a quick tutorial on how to use a brush. So I'm going to take this brush right here from Artist Loft, and I'm going to take it up here. So you see on this part right here, it's a little bit, like, the paint just looks a little bit off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my brush in water, wet it, so it's wet. Water's wet. Someone's screaming downstairs. And I'm just going to take my paper towel right here. I don't know if this is on camera or not. There, oh, there it is. Okay, and then I'm going to put my brush in, squeeze it, and then I'm just going to twist my brush around. So then you can get that fine point. I'm not going to do it too much this time, but yeah, just knock those pieces away. And you can see that's pretty good. So I'm going to do now is dip a little bit into the paint here, and then just go over here like this, and that should work out well. Just gonna do a little bit more over here. This. And yeah, here we go. And then I'm gonna take my purple paint, shake it up, repeat the process with the brush by twisting and wetting and twisting, I'm gonna call it, and then dip it into the purple. And then see this, it's got some like stray hairs sticking out, so you don't want that, so that means you're going to have to wet and twist again. And sometimes you want to do the twisting with your fingers, just to make sure that you can do it. Sorry about that, guys. There was a problem with the camera, and I have very limited storage left, so I'm going to try and finish this up quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this gently in the purple paint and brush this on here like so, and then see, it should kind of do that. It does not work as effectively as a thumbtack, but it's good when you're trying to get like natural shapes, or like, you know, like points or something like that. But anyway, yeah, wet and twist this again. And then just get the right shape that I want in here. But when you're painting, you really need to just have the process of elimination and decide which details you can fit and which details you can't. Because if you look at Black Panther's suit, it's more complicated than this, but there's only so much detail you can fit in, and I suggest if you're just starting out, try to go with less detail, and then if you're more experienced, try adding more detail and depth to your minifigures paint jobs. But anyway, as I wet and twist this brush again, I'm going to switch out this for the thumbtack now, and take this and paint this line right here. A little bit too much paint down there. And then like that. I think a lot of that was off camera, sorry about that. But I cannot always get everything on camera. So you can't wait for that to dry a little bit, and then take... Usually the paint isn't 100% dry, but that is okay if you're just adding So it might be a detail. And if you've got like a really big paint job and you're waiting for it to dry for a while, then you could just go off and do another thing. But yeah, now this side is pretty much done. I just gotta do the rest of the leg, but that won't be in this video today. So I'm gonna have one more segment of this tutorial and then we're gonna wrap it up. So for the final part of the tutorial, I'm gonna show you guys how to Modge Podge. And Modge Podging is pretty simple. It's basically just how I seal my minifigures to prevent other paints from getting on them or damage or anything like that, paint scratching off. But what I like to do before I Modge Podge the paint, or not the paint, sorry, the piece is, I like to get my brush, one of these brushes, if it can come into the camera, one of these two brushes, I like to get this one wet, and then like dab it off a little bit, just like on the desk, to get it so it's still a little bit wet, but not too wet. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna go all over the piece with the moist brush to get it off. Get all the dust and unwanted little flecks of paint that might have accidentally gotten onto your piece. Now, not everybody does use sealant. I know a lot of people don't always use sealant. Sealant is good usually when you got like painting on the sides of the torso for Luke Skywalker there, or also the, I was gonna say Snoke, but I don't know where he went to. So yeah, when you have something that's most likely gonna rub like on the top of the legs, where just basically anywhere where paint could easily rub off, is a good spot to put sealant if you're not sealing the whole thing. So I'm just gonna go over this with this brush, and then you want to find a thick brush like this one for your Modge Podging. So you're gonna do the same thing as you do with the paint. Just gonna twist the cap off and put your brush in this, and don't want to get too much. This is probably good enough for this head, because what you're gonna do, make sure your piece isn't like wet or anything. If it's a little bit moist, that's okay. But like, you don't want it to be like dripping wet. But what you're gonna do is you're just gonna apply some Modge Podge and make sure all your paint is dried. So that's important. And don't rush Modge Podging, because that will not turn out well. So just get one little bit of Modge Podge on and try to spread it all throughout the thing. And what you want to do is, you see how it's white over here? You don't want that. You just want it to be as clear and transparent as possible, and use as little as possible to get all around here. Unless the shinier you want it to be, the more sealant you put on. That's basically how it is. And then I'm just gonna wet my brush and get the rest of that Modge Podge off, and then take a little bit more off around here, just like this. So just give it a very thin layer of Modge Podge, just like that. Okay, so my phone camera is not cooperating, so I just decided to finish this up on my iPad camera. So this is all basically just done. It's all dried while I was trying to free up storage space, but yeah, this is basically what it's gonna look like. It's pretty much dried now, and you can see it's a little bit more reflective. Now if you want it to be like super matte, then sealant probably is not for you, but if you're okay with a little bit of shine, then I say go for it. I'd recommend using a matte Modge Podge instead of gloss, or I think there might be another type, but gloss is good for like things like that you want to be like shiny, like for Iron Fist's fist here. That was gloss, and I think when I do Iron Man, he'll be in gloss as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my tutorial on how to paint, with additional things on how to Modge Podge as well. But I don't know when this will be up because of like storage and technology issues, but hopefully you guys learned something and you enjoyed this video, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want more tutorials, and maybe leave a comment on which tutorials you want me to make next. So I'm just trying to get this leg that we did in the frame, but yeah. So that's pretty much it for my tutorial on how to paint custom Lego minifigures. If you want, you can follow me on all the social medias that I do not have, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.